Vote on the Provincial Council Election Amendment Bill. Second reading. Approximately 8 p.m. For 157 votes. Against 47 votes. Vote on the third reading. Approximately 9 p.m. 159 votes for, 37 votes against. 10 opposing votes disappear by the vote on the third reading. What happened? Reports that MPs on leave due to sickness and nursing mothers were called into Parliament. Transportation provided to Russian ministers from distant areas. Reports of MPs carrying mysterious suitcases into Parliament. All's well that ends well. Government secures over a two-thirds majority to pass the Provincial Council Election Amendment Bill.
We know that there are plenty of friends when you are in power. I believe that the best time to know your true friends is when you don't have power.
This is a historic day. A lot of people believe that we could secure a two-thirds majority. This government has the strength to bring everyone together for something which benefits the country.
A very good evening. This is Primetime News. I'm Joel Outscoon.
And I'm Arundhati Mudannaika. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Constitutional Assembly's Steering Committee interim report calls for the abolition of the executive presidency. SLFP opposes proposal to abolish executive presidency. Protests in Dambulla against doctors engaged in strike action. Central Province Chief Minister uses school students to create Guinness World Record.
And now the stories in detail. The interim report of the Steering Committee of the Constitutional Assembly, which was appointed to draft a new constitution, was tabled in Parliament by its chairman, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, today. The interim report says there is a general consensus that the executive presidency as it exists today be abolished.
Steering Committee report says while abolishing the executive presidency, the president should be elected by Parliament for a fixed term of office. The report also considers the following three options with regard to the process for the appointment of the Prime Minister: direct election of the Prime Minister, pre-nomination of the Prime Minister, and Westminster system. It adds, in the event a system of pre-nomination of a candidate prior to election is adopted, any political party may nominate a candidate for election as the Prime Minister, or a political party may nominate the nominee of any other political party or group. At the end of the poll and the declaration of results, the Election Commission will determine whether or not a candidate for Prime Minister has received pre-commitments from a majority of all elected MPs. If the Election Commission determines that no candidate for Prime Minister has received a majority of pre-commitments from elected MPs on the above basis, the Prime Minister will be elected at a special session of Parliament. The election will be conducted by the exhaustive ballot system, which is designed to produce ultimately a candidate with an absolute majority of more than 50%. Under this scheme, if no candidate receives an absolute majority in the first round, then the candidate with the fewest number of votes is eliminated and excluded from further ballots. The process of exclusion and reballot continues until one candidate has an absolute majority. The interim report further says Parliament shall not be dissolved within the first 4.5 years unless the House requests early dissolution by a resolution passed by not less than two-thirds of the number of members, including those not voting, or the government is unable to secure the passage of the annual appropriations bill after 2 attempts. The Prime Minister and government shall not be removed from office during the first 2 years of its term, except in the case the House by a vote passed by not less than two-thirds of the the members, including those not voting, expresses that it has no confidence in the government, or the government is unable to secure the passage of the annual appropriations bill after 3 attempts. The steering committee's interim report goes on to say the main unit for the devolution of powers shall be the province, adding that the constitution recognizes the northern and eastern provinces as a single province. The report says the constitution should not provide for merger of provinces and adds the existing provisions in the constitution relating to the possibility of 2 or more provinces forming a single unit requires a referendum of the people of each of the provinces concerned. The interim report adds it shall be ensured that the final outcome of the proposed mixed system of the first past the post system and the proportionate representation system for the election of members of parliament should be on the proportionate system. The first Chamber of Parliament consists of 233 members, with 60% of the members on the basis of first past the post and 40% as compensatory seats required to ensure that the final result reflects proportionality. It is suggested that the second chamber should consist of 55 members, with 45 drawn from the provincial councils. The second chamber shall not have the power to veto ordinary legislation, but may refer ordinary legislation back to Parliament for reconsideration. After bills are placed on the order paper of Parliament, they shall be referred to the second chamber to obtain its views, if any, prior to the second reading. The interim report says Sri Lanka is a free, sovereign and independent republic consisting of the institutions of the centre and of the provinces, which shall exercise power as laid down in the constitution and be considered a unitary state. The steering committee of the Constitutional Assembly, chaired by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, consists of members Nimal Siripala de Silva, Rauf Hakim, Lakshman Kiriyalla, Susil Premajayantha, Rishad Badiuddin, Patali Champika Ranawaka, D.M. Swaminathan, Mano Ganeshan, Malik Samara Vikrama, Dilan Pereira, R. Sambandhan, Dinesh Gunawardena, Douglas Devananda, Anura Kumara Disanayaka, Vijayadas Rajpaksha, Bimal Ratnayaka, M.A. Sumandiran, Prasanna Ranatunga, Dr. Jayampati Vikramaratna and Dr. Tusita Vijayamanna.
Now, views were expressed after the interim report of the steering committee was tabled in Parliament. The Parliament is referred to as the Constitutional Assembly during the process of drafting the Constitution.
All members are ready to accept a Sri Lanka which is one, undivided and unitary. It is also ready for the devolution of power. The new constitution is based on the fundamentals of Buddhism. There are still a few more areas that need to be cleared regarding the duties and responsibilities of the executive presidency. This requires an extensive dialogue in Parliament and among the general public. In October, on a week which parliamentary sessions won't be held, we hope to convene the Constitutional Council and give the opportunity for this matter to be debated. An executive presidency should be maintained to a certain extent, but we are not against the devolution of power. We have agreed to devolve power as much as possible. We have addressed the need for a president elected by all people for the country's security and the protection of its unitary state. We have proposed that the Westminster system be used in appointing a Prime Minister.
No constitution has been framed for Sri Lanka on the basis of a substantial bipartisan consensus amongst its different people, in particular the Tamil people, or on the basis of such bipartisan consensus between the two main parties and other political parties. The present exercise in constitution making presents the first such opportunity. A constitution based upon such a reasonable consensus would give the constitution, the basic and supreme law of the country, a legitimacy and credibility which the country badly needs.
We believe the issue concerning the executive presidency is not something which we can be flexible on during discussions. The executive presidency has to be abolished as a fundamental. Any amendment brought from outside the constitution to change the parliamentary election system will not be approved by us at any instance. There are epistles which the joint opposition, Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Jatika Hela Urumaya, EPDP, TNA and the JVP have submitted. I would like to point out that there is a massive conflict of opinions and disagreement in these epistles to the key points presented by the Prime Minister. This is a report which has been compiled by a group of a few. Through this attempt, it is quite clear that a broader view of the general public is required. The Prime Minister did say the public's view should be obtained. Well, NGOs are not the public.
In some headline-making news this evening, now the Government Medical Officers Association, together with 30 other trade unions, launched a strike action today, citing issues over item. A majority of the health sector trade union actions launched this year have been initiated by doctors.
As the situation escalated quickly, the hospital police intervened to take control. The Dambulla police was informed about the situation.
We came here at 4 in the morning. They took the record books to note down prescriptions. They are not doing that and not giving us the record books. People have started to faint. There is no place to sit at all.
We were not informed about the strike action. They took our books and moved into ward number 7. We heard nothing of it after that.
The Dambulla police intervened to return the record books to the patients. Most of the patients who visited the Anuradhapura teaching hospital were kidney patients.
We were not giving a prescription. It is with the greatest difficulty that we managed to find bus fare. Patients are dying. It is better to give us poison. There are children and elderly people here. How are we to survive? What they are doing is disgraceful. It is better if the doctors stab the patients to death, or the patients must band together and assault the doctors. The doctors have lost all respect they had.
However, over at the Ragama teaching hospital, 3 doctors were committed to treating their patients. We are serving in the emergency unit. We cannot let patients suffer. The GMOA must discuss it with the government. We are carrying out our duty. Trade unions attached to education services supported the strike action, which resulted in activities at the Beliatta Central College and Kadawatha Mahabodhi Primary School being hampered. However, it was reported that most schools did not suffer the effects of the strike action.
A book authored by former Minister Rohita Begunwardena was launched today.
The launch took place at the Sugatadasi Indoor Stadium under the auspices of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
When we are defeated, we feel lonely and bored. A large crowd used to gather at my house. However, after the 9th of January, the numbers dropped. Sometimes it's only me and my mother who are home. When I see associates pass by, I ask if they would drop in. They simply respond they'll get back to me. There were 10 to 12 friends and we begged for around 3 hours. I thought that was the ideal place to form a little government. I formed my own cabinet and I was the president. We discussed how the government must function. But when I came ashore, I realized I am just Rohita Begunwardena.
My father never confused politics with family life. After the 2015 elections, he faced many issues as a politician, but he did not show that stress at home. My mother was always his right hand. On a poor day, the elderly go to the temple, observe sale and relax the whole day. My grandmother gave life to my father and continues to be a strong pillar in her life. I say this with pride.
Because of the crowd here today, we might even have to face a few court cases. Comrade Rohita, there is a high chance we will end up counting bars.
Activists as well as politicians are vocal on monks being used to collect funds to pay the fine imposed on those involved in the silk cloth case.
A group calling themselves monks have taken to the streets to collect money to pay the fines. That is not something similar begging for alms. We followed the same in university to collect aid. That is not the issue. We witnessed in Kiribatgoda they used novice monks to collect money for their cause. Using novice monks for such political causes is considered as child abuse. If the adults want to roam the streets, it's fine, because it is their political affiliation and it is their task. It is the duty of the aides to protect the kings and their families who fed them. A civilized society must not engage in acts where children are forced to walk the streets. That is child abuse. The law must be enforced on this.
A
group is going on a collection campaign at the wrong time, bringing disrepute to the Mahasangha and Buddhists. I condemn this act. The Mahasangha need not engage in these acts. There were rogues in the previous regime. They have billions and trillions of dollars. They can pay the fines with that money. The joint opposition, which is capable of bringing hundreds of thousands to Galway's green, have failed to reveal their assets in order to save Lalit Veeratunga and Anusha Palpita, who were imprisoned simply for following orders. Rather than coming forward themselves, the joint opposition is using the monks and bringing disrepute to the Sasana and the traditions. We condemn this because it is against the Sasana.
Views were expressed on the Newsline program this morning on statements made by Minister of Higher Education and Highways Lakshman Kiriyala on the proposal to grant the tender for the construction of the third phase of the Central Expressway to a Japanese company.
There's been a definite departure from process, and it's not between one company or another. Although that is also a central component of the story. The real story here is an abuse of power. They've departed from national procurement guidelines. But there are significant lies that have been told there. The minister lies when he says that this money is being given by the Japanese government. It's not being given by the Japanese government. It is being given by a Japanese bank. And there's insurance, a supply credit insurance at a very high premium, 10.07% in advance. The Prime Minister signs that off, actually, not Mr. Kiriyala. But Mr. Kiriyala is absolutely misleading the public. Whether it is by design or by omission, I don't know. But what he says is absolute lies.
This is a matter we have to be a bit too hard, because the way that this minister is replying the media to elicit doubts that have been created about this transaction at the instigation of the president of the country, is in no way can be condoned, because the way he behaved is, I should say, the least is disgraceful. It appears as if, he is like a child punished by a school principal, undergoing the punishment, trying to do that unwillingly. This is not something that the president wanted the minister to come and do unwillingly and run away from the journalist. What did the minister do instead? He is bringing Mahinda Rajapaksa. Who is worried about what Mahinda
Rajapaksa? Why? I mean, the minute they bring Mahinda Rajapaksa into it, you know that they're covering something up.
The Negombo Law Society says former Justice Minister Vijaydas Rajapaksa's arbitrary judicial demarcations have led to many serious issues.
The lawyers convened a media briefing to protest against the gazette issued on the matter.
The gazette clearly says 2 Grama Seva divisions have been moved to the Minuwangoda Judicial Zone from the Negombo Judicial Zone. It is the Negombo Judicial Zone that handles all cases related to Sri Lanka's only international airport. This process had posed an issue on matters relating to illegal migration. The Negombo prison is just 50 meters away from the Negombo court. But with the current process, one must travel 26 kilometers. When facilities have been provided in Negombo for the public and the officers, the change has been done without any observation or transparency. We do not know who wanted this change. All cases have been moved to Minuwangoda.
According to the school calendar released by the Ministry of Education, today is an ordinary day for academic activities. That means teachers should ensure that students are educated according to the approved curricula or engage in extracurricular activities. The school calendar does not apply to the Minister of Education nor the Provincial Minister of Education. So there is nothing wrong in the Chief Minister of the Central Province attending an event which has nothing to do with education as the Provincial Minister of Education. However, if the Chief Minister uses something he receives for public work for his personal activities, then it is a violation of the state financial regulations and it is also unethical. This is how much importance the Chief Minister assigned to this event, which has no educational connection whatsoever.
All these children are from Sarath Ekanayaka School. There are around 250 school children here. 100 dressed in special clothes and another 150 to hold the sari. The bride has a further 10 bridesmaids.
Since the Chief Minister does not have a set agenda or responsibility which is audited, the Chief Minister can make such a statement. However, the principal of the said school reporting to work and engaging in activities which are in no way related to education is not something that can be approved.
This is a golden moment in the history of our school. This is a great opportunity and we are very happy about it. These small children, their parents and teachers have been working from 2:30 in the morning to make this a success.
As the principal said, the teachers and students of the Aluwadgoda Primary School arrived at the school complex nearly 3 to 4 hours before sunrise. 100 of the 250 girls who had to participate in this task had to dress up as flower girls, while the other 150 students were tasked with standing in the hot sun on the Kandy Colombo road and not letting the sari touch the road. The teachers were tasked with ensuring that the students did their job. The stunt was organized by a beautician with the aim of entering the Guinness Book of World Records. Thanks to the assistance provided by the Chief Minister, the 100 flower girls were forced to rest on the sidewalk next to a place used by the Kandy Municipal Council to store garbage cans. Isn't there any action that can be taken against the principal of the school who heeded the words of the Chief Minister and stole an entire day of learning from these 250 school children and forced them to participate in a commercial activity? Governor of the Central Province, this is over to you.
The European Union pledges 5.4 billion rupees to support development in rural areas of Uva and central provinces.
In a communique, the European Union says they aim to make tangible improvements in the lives of some of Sri Lanka's poorest people. The money will benefit poor rural communities in the Monoragala and Badula districts in Uva province and in the Nuwara Eliya and Matale districts in central province. The projects will focus on promoting economic growth in the rural and estate sectors and increasing communities' involvement in the use of the resources in their districts by strengthening small businesses, increasing the involvement of women and young people in decisions about job creation and building awareness of chronic kidney disease.
The Pathfinder Foundation, a non-profit, non-partisan research and advocacy think tank in Sri Lanka, has entered into a collaboration agreement with the Russian International Affairs Council, or RIAC.
The agreement was signed by Director General of RIAC, Andrei Kortunov, and Chairman of the Pathfinder Foundation, Bernard Gunatilaka. It seeks to exchange analytical papers between the two institutions, implement joint projects to strengthen the stance of the two countries in the international arena, including conducting roundtable discussions and workshops, develop interaction between Russian and Sri Lankan institutions in international research activities, and engage in mutual informational support through the respective web resources and social media channels. RIAC, a non-profit academic and diplomatic think tank that was established in 2010 pursuant to a presidential decree, is aimed at strengthening peace, friendship and solidarity between peoples, preventing international conflicts and promoting conflict resolution and crisis settlement, is recognized as one of Moscow's best known and authoritative think tanks.
First up in sports, it's cricket. Asanka Gurusinghe, Sri Lanka's cricket manager, says many factors were considered before appointing Lahiri Thirimana as vice-captain of the test team for the series against Pakistan.
As a team, we are ready for the tour. We used the pink ball at the recent domestic league. Most of the players are experienced and we hope to use them as much as possible for the tour.
Questions were raised on appointing Lahiri Thirimana to assist the skipper.
At most matches, we played without a vice-captain, so we decided we need to have a vice-captain. He plays ODIs and the selection committee made a wise decision and appointed him as a vice-captain. I can say I am pleased with the combination of the team as it comprises of talented batsmen. We need to use the most of the batting department to win the games for Sri Lanka.
With a gold, 2 silvers and a bronze medal under its belt, Sri Lanka kept the hopes of victory alive on day 4 of the 5th Asian Games in Turkmenistan. Stephanie Lazarus filed this report from Ashgabat, Turkmenistan.
It started at a 23°C morning here in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, and the venues across the Olympic complex hosted an array of sporting activities here in Turkmenistan today as well.
Day 4 of the Asian Indo Games commenced with a win for Chalindra Vilianage of Sri Lanka at the 68kg round of 32 contest. Though he scored 37 points and won round 13 of the qualifying rounds, hopes of a medal was crushed for Vilianage as he was defeated at the hands of Saud Ibrahim of Saudi, who was leading the points table at 25 for 4 in the second round. 3 of Sri Lanka's favourites, Kayanthi Artikala, Indunil Herath and Manjula Wijayasekara, who clinched gold, silver and bronze respectively yesterday, expressed their sentiments of winning the coveted medal.
ලොකු බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තිබුණා මට ජයග්‍රහණය කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා. මේ වගේ මීට් එකක රම් පදක්කමක් අරගෙන ලංකාවට යන්න පුළුවන් වෙච්ච එක ගැන ගොඩාක් සතුටු වෙනවා. මම 800 දෙවෙනි ස්ථානයේ ඉඳලා ඇත්තට හොඳ ටයිමින් එකක් මම දිව්වා. ගොඩක් ලොකු සතුටක් දැනෙනවා. මගේ පෞද්ගලික දක්ෂතාවය ගැන මට ඇත්තටම ලොකු පැහැදීමක්.
Host country Turkmenistan is leading in the points table, with Sri Lanka placed number 18 at the 5th Asian Indo and Martial Arts Games. Reporting for the Newsfirst team, from Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, this is Stephanie Lazarus.
Well, that's a look at Primetime News for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Arundhati Mudannaika.
And I'm Zola. Take care. Good night.